All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mark Lyons. I'm the Director of Sales here at Senior Market Sales, and welcome to another life webinar. We have our very special guest from Symetra today. We have Brad Mills, our RVP. So welcome, Brad. We also have Matt Straub, who's our Associate RVP. So we're so important to Symetra that we have two people work on the account. All right, and then we have Danielle Schneider. She's probably the important person that's on the call today. She's a senior underwriting manager at Symetra. So welcome, guys. I think what we're going to talk about today is not only your SWIFTTerm process. We talked about that a year ago, but you've also added a protection product to this process, and it's called SWIFTProtector. Is that right?
That's correct. That's correct.
All right. We're really looking forward to hearing about this process, and as we introduced it last year with a webinar that was very similar to this, we've had great success with the product, and we're hoping that we're going to have even more success now that you have added the UL product to it as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be quiet now, and I'm going to turn it over to Brad, and he's going to kick us off, and then I think Danielle is going to take us through the important part of the presentation. And I'm sure I'll have a lot of questions for you as we're going through this. All right. Take it away, Brad.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. And thanks to everyone out in WebEx land for taking the time out to listen to our story today. I think we have some good news for you. And Mark, you and the team at Senior Market Sales have been great partners, and we definitely appreciate this opportunity. So as Mark said, I'm the dedicated Regional Vice President for the Senior Market Sales account. I have Danielle Snyder, our Operations and Underwriting Manager over the whole SWIFT process, and Matt Straub, our Associate RVP in the region. But we look forward to helping you place these cases and make it easier to do business with Symetra and Senior Market Sales. As a quick backdrop, sometimes I kind of get the question, not as much anymore, but used to get the question all the time, who the heck is Symetra? So if you ever get that question, give you a couple bullet points to remember. So back in 2004, Safeco, the old property casualty company, Safeco, sold their life and investment unit. And at that time, Warren Buffett's group, so Berkshire Hathaway and White Mountains Limited Partnership, teamed up to be the largest shareholders, took Symetra public, grew and grew and grew and grew. And then I always say Buffett backed the Brinks truck up once again and sold all of Symetra's outstanding shares for about a 33.33% profit over the prior year's share price. So he was pretty happy about that, but we're real happy about our parent company. Our parent company is Sumitomo Life out of Japan, the third largest Japanese insurance company. We have about $350 billion combined assets with Sumitomo Life. So very similar to how Dai-ichi bought Protective a year before that. So if you ever do a Protective case, it's the same thing. They wanted us for U.S. growth, just like Dai-ichi wanted Protective for U.S. growth, especially when interest rates were about negative over in that market. And it's a mutual company, which I think is important. We're not, beholden to shareholders and quarterly advice with stock prices and everything like that in this volatile market. So we're happy to have a big parent company with big purse strings and a good financial stability. So that's the Symetra Sumitomo story.
But you're still a mutual company that's owned
Correct.
by a parent company, a holding company.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important. That's very important. So.
No, thank you, Mark. And with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Danielle. She's going to take you through our SWIFT process, and we'll come back in and really focus on the Protector IUL that we've built to add to the SWIFTTerm and SWIFTProtector process. So thank you.
Great.
Wonderful. Thank you. So as Brad and Mark said, Danielle Schneider, manager over the SWIFT platform. So when we developed SWIFT, the intent was two things: to make it very easy for our customers and for our advisors. So how is it easy for customers? everything is electronic. So it's an e-application. Clients complete on their own. There's never a telephone interview waiting for a phone call. They can complete their part of the application, their customer interview, at their convenience. It's a web-based email that's sent to them after the agent does the drop ticket. We have instant issue for qualified applicants. No fax, no mail, no face-to-face meetings, anything like that is required. E-payment. So as an advisor, you don't even have to gather their banking information. The customer simply inputs that after approval. We can accept credit cards for both initial and reoccurring premiums for face amounts of 500,000 and under. But we do ACH auto draft for all other face amounts. E-contract delivery. So as soon as the customer pays, everybody gets a copy of the completed policy within 5 minutes. The customer has one in their customer portal where they can also do a lot of self-servicing if they want to update their payment information, change their address, those types of things. They can do that on their own. We obviously still have a dedicated customer service team if they don't prefer that. But in this day and age, a lot of people like to do those things on their own, so we offer that option for them. While we make this easy for customers and keep them involved in the process, we respect that relationship with BGAs, especially our friends at Senior Marketing Sales. So we keep them in the loop as well as our agents informed each step of the way throughout the process. It's a product to serve more people. So we have issue ages from ages 20 to 60, face amounts from 100,000 all the way up to 5 million. Risk classes are super preferred, and standard, nicotine, and non-nicotine. You'll see in just a second we're going to talk about the 3 paths that those policies can take. But if they go that fully underwritten path, we can offer all the way up to table 8. So wherever oh, go ahead, Mark.
Is it true that all senior market sales cases will be super preferred? Is
I
that the
heard that.
agreement that we? Okay. All right.
Yeah, I heard that. And auto approved. So really, you never even work with my team. It's all touchless. No, I wish I could say that was true. That would be a really good incentive, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, our reinsurers do want us to approve these cases where their health determines. So not where I get to decide. We offer term durations from 10 to 30 years, 10, 15, 20, and 30. The included rider is the accelerated death benefit for terminal illness, so that's a no-fee rider that's included in the policy. There are optional riders you can choose from: our accidental death, our children's term insurance rider, waiver of premium. The value added benefit rider is a free included rider in the states where it's approved, and that just gives some additional benefits to your beneficiary at the time of claim. It's a really nice program. It's included for free. The rider that we're most excited about, and that's new since the last time we've gotten to talk with you, Mark, is our CER rider. So our conversion enhancement rider. It is a for-fee rider, very reasonably priced, but what that allows is additional conversion options. So it adds 10 years to conversion privileges, and it allows the customer to convert to any product that we have available at the time within Symetra. And if you're familiar with Symetra, you know that we have some really great league-leading protection products and other permanent products that they can choose from.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we're really we one of the things we're proud of at Symetra is that we are reactive to our partners' feedback, and we heard that loud and clear that people wanted more conversion options, and so we were really happy to roll that out last year. So we talked about easy for customers, right? They get to complete that at their convenience. It's also easy for our producers. So the agent completes a drop ticket in iPipeline. It takes about 5 to 7 minutes. It's a very, very easy process. So those of you that are attending the webinar, how you do that is you go to seniormarketsales.com if you haven't already and register for LA Pro on their website. And that is their transaction center where you can find that iPipeline link in order to do this electronic drop ticket. So if you have questions on that, Mark and his team are obviously happy to assist, but that's how you would get the process started. You also have to be pre-appointed with Symetra. We have a record of 14 minutes from beginning to end, from the time the drop ticket was started till the time a customer placed their policy in force. And because of that, we do require pre-appointment. We need to make sure we can pay you when that sale goes through. And again, Mark and team can certainly help you get that set up.
Yeah, and I can't emphasize that enough. You know, we did have a situation where a case came through and the producer was not pre-appointed with Symetra, and it was a little bit of a mess. So, you know, if you're listening to this webinar, we're talking about it again. Get pre-appointed and then go submit the application.
Yes, there's nothing worse than ruining the potential amazing Swift experience by getting that hard stop when you go to do the drop ticket. We don't want that for anyone, and that can definitely be avoided with working with Mark and team. So, yeah, we'll say it
And Danielle,
probably
as
one more
Danielle
time
is
yet today.
saying, sorry to interrupt, Danielle.
Go
As
ahead, bud.
Danielle is saying, though, to get pre-appointed, it's just painful the first case, right? And then we're off and rocking and rolling from there. And it's really a testament to the process because we have to have a producer code to generate the policy and to pay compensation on that and to place the policy in force right away for your client. So kind of a process thing, but a good thing. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so step 2, you do that 5 to 7 minute process once you're pre-appointed, and an email goes directly to your customer. They have 30 days to complete their part of the customer interview. We will remind them multiple times and let you know each step of the way if they have not completed it. Most people complete it within the first couple days. We send them a few reminders. It's about a 15-minute process for the customer, depending on how much health history they have. They answer typical Part 2 questions on a life application, life and health questions. Once they complete that using e-signature, a path will be determined. And we're going to go into these on the next slide, but they'll either be immediately approved, we'll need a couple days to look at it within my team, or if their health requires, it may be fully underwritten. Once the decision is made, an email is sent to everyone involved, to the client, to the BGA, and to the agent, letting them know how the person's been approved. The client will get a link to accept their coverage. They do that by setting up their customer portal, entering their payment information, and again, the policy is immediately available for them. So the 3 paths. I think it's really important to note that 75+% of our cases are falling into these first 2 paths, which is numbers we're really proud of. So automated coverage in as little as 25 minutes. I told you that our record is 14, which is pretty great. It's not just one time. We see a number of cases go through within an hour or less. Daily, we're seeing that. So that's not a one-time thing, although we are proud of that 14-minute record. So automated coverage, the drop ticket's done, the customer completes their part, they're immediately approved and can place that policy in force. Accelerated coverage in 24 to 72 hours, that just takes some human eyes. There might be some data that needs to be reviewed by a human. We may have a quick clarifying question that we need to ask, but generally speaking, approval in around 3 business days max. And then fully underwritten. Sometimes the health of the client may require that we request an exam or an APS. In those situations, the good news is Symetra is going to take the work off your plate there. We are going to order those requirements and work with our partners at Senior Marketing Sales to make sure that those requirements get in and we get to the finish line on those cases. So
Danielle, can you just touch on how quickly we have been able to turn around those fully underwritten cases, which historically have taken a long period of time? I know you and your team have worked together to kind of expedite that process.
Yeah, that's a great question and timely because I was just looking at the numbers this morning. So we're averaging about 16.2 days on those fully underwritten cases. obviously, when labs are needed, we need the customer to schedule those labs and get them done. But the way that the data flows and they come right in for the team to review, and the way that we internally manage the APSs allows those cases, even in the fully underwritten space, to move forward a lot more efficiently than maybe what we saw years ago in the underwriting space.
So one of the things I kind of like to point out is when you're setting expectations for your client, or just to have a general knowledge of how the process works. I mean, 75% of the time is fluidless. So no blood, no tele-interview, no paramed, no APS reports. So, and if it goes full underwriting, it would likely have been full underwriting with almost every carrier out there. So I think we have some good success stories there as well.
That's a really good point, Brad. So what tools do we use to keep 75% of those cases without traditional underwriting requirements? And I've been in the industry for a while, so I think of traditional underwriting requirements as, that exam or those medical records. We use a process called Instant ID. That is during the agent drop ticket process. What that's going to do is ensure that the information that you're inputting as far as social security number, address, and date of birth for your client is accurate. If you get a pop-up there suggesting that the data might not be accurate, take that pause and double check, because the majority of the time the instant ID is correct. So you want to save yourself a little bit of a headache and the customer some concern, just to kind of verify that information and make sure it's right. MIB, very typical requirement for life insurance carriers. This is the past 7 years of insurance activity. MVR, so their motor vehicle driving history, prescription and medical diagnostic data. So this gives us the last 7 years of prescription history, as well as any diagnostic codes entered by their doctor for insurance purposes. What this allows us to do is really piece together a very robust history and move these cases along quickly. We do use a tool called the TRL, or TransUnion Credit Behavior Score. This is not a credit report. We are not dinging anybody's credit or running their credit score. It is simply financial behavior attributes that do link to mortality. This impacts a very small percentage of our cases, but it's a really great tool to lean in on those borderline cases when that score is favorable, and to maybe weed out when there are some financial concerns without having to ask a lot of questions to the applicant. My favorite tool that we use is the lab picture tool. This is, again, 7 years. I don't know why 7 years is the magic number, but it always seems to be on these requirements. This allows us to get prior lab results done with Quest Diagnostic. Where this is amazing is if you have a diabetic who goes to their doctor regularly, we can get those results if they were done with Quest. This allows us to probably not need new labs because we can see their A1C results for the last 7 years, for example. This is a favorite tool of mine. Or if they had, DI labs done last month because they were doing a disability policy and those were done with Quest, we can pull those up. So it helps us to avoid lab requests quite often.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great tool. Yeah. So this is one of my favorite slides. Generally speaking, or historically speaking, when you talk about accelerated processes, there is a give and take. And that give and take tends to be pricing. So you can have this amazing process. We're going to go without traditional requirements, but you're going to sacrifice price. We have the benefit of being very, very competitive, and we make sure that we are. We have a whole team that's constantly reviewing what we consider our competition, and ensuring that we are able to stay in that top 3, so that you are not only giving your customer a great process, but you're also giving them very favorable pricing. We stay in constant review of the prices of our competitors. You can see that this chart is from July of 2024, when we reduced rates once again. We've done that multiple times since the rollout of SWIFT, because it's a constant competition and penny game in this term market. Brad and I say dark green is good. It's the darker the green, the better the rates. And you can see there's a lot of ones on this chart. So.
And if you
even the ones that aren't one, they're pretty good.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you've priced term insurance recently, I mean, really, it could be pennies on the dollar on difference between 1 and 3. It could be $1,001 versus $1,005 a year or less when someone tries to leapfrog in those top 3 positions. So we think we have the best process bar none, and then the top pricing almost every time there. So you can see 10, 15, 20, 30-year term in all non-rated underwriting categories, male and female across the board. So we're real proud of that.
Yeah, very. And I think like we talked about, the process matters, right? We all know we're in sales, time kills deals. If it's the difference between 16 touches in 30 days or one touch in 2 days, it's worth the extra $2, I say. Okay, so SWIFTTerm tips. So we like to say SWIFTTerm is unique in the best ways and some ways that might surprise you. And those are, we don't want those to be a surprise to you, so we'd like to tell you up front. You might have heard us say this earlier. Ensure that you're pre-appointed with Symetra, and you can do that through our friends at Senior Marketing Sales. After appointment, you'll receive a producer number that you can use for the drop ticket. Ensure the drop ticket information is accurate. There is no editing after submission. So you do that 5 to 7 minute drop ticket process. All that information goes to your customer. If they look at it and it is not accurate, that requires a new drop ticket, and no one likes that. So just make sure that it's accurate. We can edit a lot of things on our side for you should you find out that the birth date is wrong or something like that. But there's a couple things that we cannot edit, and those would be email address, gender, date of birth that impacts insurance age, the wrong application state, or an incorrect social security number. And most of that is driven from the fact that those are factors that our data is pulled from. And so we really need to ensure those things are accurate. As we talked about, once that drop ticket's completed, the customer has 30 days to complete their part of the application. That's a web-based customer interview. This link cannot be extended, and the reason for that is we lock in age at drop ticket. So if you have somebody that's getting ready to cross age, get that drop ticket in. They have 30 days to complete it. Their age is still locked in. Even if it falls into that 16-day fully underwritten category, they're still that same age as when you did that drop ticket. Even though when they pay, it's going to be current date. So we don't extend that past the 30 days. When the policy is approved, the BGA and agent will get an email with the approval information. The customer will receive their own link. So their email is their own. They have a unique link to them in order to place the policy in force, and that is a compliance-driven requirement. We don't have delivery receipts or any of that fun stuff that needs to be completed. The client accepting through their individual personalized link is all we need there. If the customer wants changes, that's great. We can do that as long as the policy is not placed in force. So if they got such a good offer that they would like to double their face amount, we're happy to do that for you through a quick Adobe signed amendment. We just need to know that before it's placed in force. I already touched on this, but the policy will be immediately available after customer payment. The copy for the customer will be in their customer portal, and for the BGA and agent, that will be on the Symetra website available. SWIFTTerm is unique, requirements, labs, and process flows. We manage all the medical requirements if needed, which takes that work off your plate. I always like to give real examples. I know Mark could give many that Senior Marketing Sales has done, but here is one. So Miss Diaz is a 43-year-old applying for $2 million 30-year term. On March 12th, the agent completed the drop ticket. It took them 4 minutes and 37 seconds. I rounded to 5. The customer completed their interview at 4:57 p.m. I assume after work they said, oh, that's right, I need to do that. Same day, the agent probably reminded them. At 5:07, the customer completed onboarding and paid for their coverage. So 3 hours from drop ticket to enforce coverage for a $2 million 30-year term on a 43-year-old. We like that story.
That's a great story. Really good.
Yeah, and that is a Senior Marketing Sales specific example. So it's a real life one. I didn't just make it up. It looks good. It looks too good to be true, but it did occur. So okay. So decisions by path, again, some senior marketing sales specific data. We like real stories here. You guys are above average. We knew that, right? Mark already knew that, but you are. So you can see that for senior marketing sales, about 81+% of cases are going through those first two paths, with 17.8% going that fully underwritten path. Not only that, but when you look at approval rate classes, you can see we're just over 44% at super preferred and about 21% in preferred. And then, standard coming up behind at about 29%. Those other categories are nicotine and table rated cases. So. This is a fun little program for when it applies. So if you have customers that have that term perm need, we have what's called the Symetra SWIFTTerm Extra Coverage Program. This allows SWIFTTerm customers to get any one of our great permanent products without additional underwriting. So if your customer is approved for SWIFTTerm, within 30 days of placing that policy in force, they can get some additional permanent coverage up to a total combined line of $2 million without additional underwriting. We do run an updated MIB. The application does have to be completed because they're two completely different systems, different applications. So we do need the application completed and a transmittal form. But this is a great way when you have people that need that perm and term coverage to take care of that for them. And you're going to know the answer on that or the rate class on that permanent policy because you already have your SWIFT approval. Okay. So earlier in the presentation, we kind of touted SWIFTTerm. We talked about it a little bit. So now it's time to do a little deeper dive. We rolled out SWIFTTerm in 2021. The process was so good. We liked it so much. We grew the process. We made a lot of changes from 2021 to 2024 with Swift, got a lot of feedback from our customers, made a lot of improvements. We said, okay, it's time for a permanent product. And SWIFTTerm was born. So we have our protection IUL product that is league leading. It's a fantastic permanent product that we already have in our product suite. We took that product and we put it on the Swift platform. So it's the same great product, same great pricing. It's just a different process. So that's the sizzle with SWIFTTerm. Is there some efficiencies there? There's some automation there that's very beneficial if you have customers that desire that kind of process. So it's fast and easy, 100% online. Again, you see the 25 minutes. It's cost effective. We do have issue ages from 20 to 60 and currently face amounts from 100,000 up to 3 million. We launched SWIFTTerm last July, so we're just coming up on the first year anniversary, which is pretty exciting. How does SWIFTTerm work? Very similarly to SWIFTTerm. So if you see these 5 little boxes here, you'll say, oh, I saw that a few slides ago. Yes, you did. You do a drop ticket. Guess what? It's the exact same process as if you were doing SWIFTTerm. You're just picking a different product. The client interview that's sent to the customer is exactly the same as SWIFTTerm. They get an email. Again, never a telephone interview. They have 30 days to complete that. We have the same 3 underwriting paths. And post-approval looks similar, but there's a little more agent involvement there, and we're going to go over that. Onboarding, again, is similar, but we have some initial premium and that sort of thing. So let's dive into that. During the drop ticket, you have the option to input the illustration information. What's beautiful about this is it's simply at the top of the Symetra illustration, there is an illustration ID. You don't have to input all of the information. This saves you a lot of time. If you put in that illustration ID, it's going to pre-fill a lot of the drop ticket. So those index selections and things like that, it's going to pre-fill for you. In addition, it's going to send it to the customer to sign. So you don't have to do all of that back and forth with the illustration. You're going to know that it's a compliant illustration. It's signed by the customer. All that's done in the customer interview process. The client If you choose to enter the illustration during the drop ticket, the client will sign that as part of their customer interview. So again, they're going to verify their identity, they're going to e-sign, they're going to answer their questions, and they're going to sign their application. Any one of these three paths. So the instant coverage, accelerated, and fully underwritten, this is the same, not to get too technical, but the same rules engine that our SWIFTTerm is based on. So those same paths, the same success stories apply to our SWIFTProtector product. Same group, my team's still underwriting when necessary. So you have a very seamless experience whether you're choosing the SWIFTTerm product or the SWIFTProtector product. Post-approval, this is my favorite part of SWIFTProtector. So I think this is where the real sizzle is, right? So we've all had an experience where you've waited for a permanent offer on a case, and then you go and do this back and forth with the illustration piece, right? The beautiful thing about SWIFTProtector is you've chosen up front. Do you want us to pause if the policy is approved as applied or as illustrated, or do you want us to go ahead and send the offer? If you chose that pause, or if it's approved other than applied, or for whatever reason we need an updated illustration, you as the agent are going to get an email, as well as our partners at Senior Marketing Sales, that say, hey, we need a new illustration and here's why. You click on a link, you enter the updated or revised illustration ID, and when you're ready, you click send offer to the customer. The customer immediately gets the offer to place the policy in force, and they're going to sign that revised illustration. So you already know it's compliant. You know that it meets all the parameters, and your customer's immediately going to get an offer so that they can place the policy in force.
So really, I wanted to hop in here real quick. I mean, basically, we can take your transactional term business with SWIFTTerm and your transactional protection IUL business and make that really on the whole Swift platform as an ease of doing business or submission platform. So as we build and build and build this Swift platform, we're going to add more products on there. But the first two we launched were that more transactional, lower cost products. So like the protection IUL and the SWIFTTerm, the kind of so more transactional, easy to understand for the client.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Right. And you can take, I mean, I think our average case size in SWIFTTerm is around $1,100. And as you can see, if you get a $3 million protection IUL and a 60-year-old female, I mean, you're talking, you could have a $50,000 case. So we can take anywhere in between, but I'm just saying we have that ease of doing business to get that on and off your plate and on to the next one.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of the meeting of both worlds, I guess, is what I would like to call it, right? So when it's transactional, absolutely, right? It can go straight through. And if you say, hey, this illustration is good and I don't need to see it, if you approve Sally at Super Preferred, great, send her the offer on your SWIFTProtector. If you say, this client's still making some decisions, I'd like to see it and meet with them one more time. And we're going to meet you wherever you want to do that, right? And where the customer's desire is. We've got a great team for customer service and underwriting. Should you want to be, a little more hands-on with these, but to Brad's point, if it's a quick case that somebody needs coverage quickly, or they just don't, want to spend a lot of time, they know what they need, it's ready to go, then obviously that is an option as well. So
yeah, we appreciate that flexibility. I mean, that's you're meeting the agent where he's at, as you said. So
right,
that's
I think
great.
it makes it an easier choice, right? You don't have to say, okay, well, for this client, I need to do this. For this client, I need to do this. It's like, okay, I have a process that can cater to whatever my customer's need is. So that's one of the things I like about the SWIFTProtector.
The one thing I was going to add here too, which is really cool as SWIFTProtector is rolled out, it does include a chronic care advantage rider. So the ability to draw down 2 or 4% of the death benefit for long-term care, chronic illness type needs, and that can be added to the plan. It really only requires an additional 2 or 3 questions. So as Danielle was saying, senior market sales cases are going through about 80% fluidless. what about if you could add that living benefit rider that so many people are in the market for right now and get that done within a couple of days? That's a really nice niche that I think Swift Protector's in, and I just wanted to make sure is on everybody's radar.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's such a popular benefit, as you stated, Matt, and allowing auto approved with that chronic care rider. It As an underwriter, it blew my mind when I first saw it. I was like, oh, we can do auto approved. Love it. It's working great. It's two extra questions, like you stated, Matt, maybe three, but it can still go through auto approved, which is amazing. So. Okay, so as the agent, I either said, yep, go ahead and send the offer, or I put in my revised illustration. I click it to send the offer to the customer. They're going to get an email that goes over their coverage amounts. Again, they set up their customer portal and they go in and pay. They can pay their initial premium up to $2,000 on a credit card if they'd like, but all reoccurring premiums are done through ACH. The minute that they input their payment details and click purchase policy, the contract is generated. Right now, because we're under a year with Swift Protector, we're QVing every single policy. So it may take 24 hours to actually have the contract in hand because we're doing a little human pause just to make sure that everything is spot on with those. It's the same thing we did on SWIFTTerm. We're just being extra diligent just to make sure that what your customer is getting is, 100% accurate. So. And like Swift, we think that what we're offering here is quite competitive. So this is where I hand it over to Matt and Brad for conversation because this is their expertise. But I'll let the chart and Brad and Matt speak to this one.
Well, all right. Thank you, Danielle. I mean, really, when Mark and his marketing team kind of vet products, there's a few columns that they think is important, and we think it is important at Symetra. On the protection IUL sale and the Swift Protector, usually it's low premium wins for a specified death benefit. This is kind of a case study on a 45-year-old male preferred $1 million death benefit. But really, there's more than that. As you can see, we have a guaranteed death benefit column. We also have good cash value build up. A nice target premium relative to the customers is what we all get paid on, which is great. And as you notice, our 20-year cumulative charges are least on the chart. So here at Symetra, we really think a low charge structure is very important because if you're in these index accounts, they could have a zero, they could cap out. But what's really important is charges behind the scenes because whatever your rate of return in your index accounts, those charges still come out. So we think it's very important to have a low charge structure. And one of my favorite two columns is we're the only company that has a fully digital and instant coverage process available. So that's the good news here is we think we have a lot of different, kind of like the Swiss Army knife of products, but we have a lot of different columns that are really attractive to recommend our product to your customer.
And that is a rolling target, Brad, just so people are aware. So so you have 2 years to actually fill up that target amount in the Swift Protector and the Protection IUL.
That's important too.
Okay. So, Mark, anything that you think that we haven't covered that we should let the group know about?
No, I think you covered it all. Brad, could you speak to the change in the conversion rates a little bit more? I think that would be somewhat helpful.
Sure. Yeah, when we launched SWIFTTerm, about 4 years ago, really like in the term insurance marketplace, price wins, right? So it was low charge, low price, low price, low price. Now, as we kind of got feedback from our distribution partners, it's like, hey, it would be nice to have a conversion option with this great Swift process. So we added a pay-for rider called that conversion enhancement rider that really gives you the best of both worlds. If you want a more robust conversion feature, you can add this rider, and then similar to a lot of companies who have this rider, will be priced right there or better than them as well. But it will give your client the opportunity to two things. It opens our whole suite of products. So the good guy conversion for the first 10 years, so any product on our shelf. And then it lengthens the time of conversion of years 11 up to 20 or the length of term to the product we make available, which is currently our current assumption UL.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
And at the time of conversion, as long as someone is standard or better, we actually include our built-in chronic illness rider. So you're converting to a permanent product and getting access to some living benefits, real value when you compare us to other products out there.
All right, that's great. So I think the important points are that you have this great process for both term and protection IUL. The process is so great that if you 75% of the cases are going through either automated or accelerated underwriting process, which is huge, and even if it switches to the fully underwritten process, you're still getting them done in about 16.2 days, and still, because you're using I can't remember what the name of it was, but you're able to sometimes pull some labs from previous application processes, or medical records. You don't necessarily need to do the lab work on a fully underwritten case.
Yep, that's absolutely true, Mark.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And best part is it's got great targets. It's got a low cost. The rolling target. I don't know why else would anybody consider another carrier, right?
We
I'd
agree.
say I'd say kick the
No,
tires.
we don't want to say that. We don't want to
Oh,
say
you know.
that, but
Don't cut that part out.
all right. Well, thank you very much, Brad. Thank you very much, Danielle. Thank you very much, Matt. We really appreciate it. We're going to work hard at Senior Market Sales to get those producers appointed with Symetra so they can start the process right away. And as usual, to all those that are listening to the webinar, feel free to reach out to us anytime. If you're interested in getting contracted, just go out to seniormarketsales.com, and we can start the contracting process right there. You can learn where to access the Symetra process on our LA Pro tool, and so we've got it all. So I encourage everyone to go out and look at the website. All right, and if you're already with us, feel free to call the team if you have any questions. Reach out to your marketing consultant. So this is Mark Lyons saying we'll see you next time, and thank you again to the Symetra team. This concludes the webinar.